The air in the anatomical theater hung thick with the scent of formaldehyde and something else, something ancient. Dr. Alessandra Giuliani, her dark hair pulled severely back, barely noticed. Her focus was absolute, the sharp steel of her scalpel glinting as she made a precise incision. Tonight's subject, a man who had lived and died anonymously, now offering his body to the pursuit of knowledge. A murmur rippled through the small group of students observing her dissection. She ignored them, or tried to. But the whispers, laced with a mixture of awe and discomfort, were a constant companion in this hallowed hall. "Enough with the gossip," Alessandra said, her voice sharp but laced with fatigue. "Focus. What can the structure of the heart tell us about the nature of life itself?" But the whispers continued, now tinged with a new subject: love potions. Tales of desperate measures, fueled by societal pressure and the yearning for affection, circulated amongst the scholars. Alessandra scoffed inwardly. Love potions. The very idea was an insult to reason, a pathetic reliance on superstition. Still, the persistent rumors, whispers of assured success and irresistible allure, prickled at her curiosity. The most troubling of these rumors concerned the ingredients: human blood, supposedly harvested during the peak of passion, and powdered unicorn horn, a substance so rare and expensive it was almost certainly fraudulent. Yet the demand was undeniable. Alessandra procured a small vial of the notorious red liquid from a discreet student. The student claimed it was a powerful ingredient for a love potion. If people were ingesting this concoction, Alessandra felt an ethical obligation to investigate what it truly contained. That night, Alessandra began her research. She consulted ancient texts, scouring them for any mention of the purported ingredients. Her heart pounded with a mixture of professional curiosity and a creeping sense of unease. The unicorn horn. It was almost certainly fraudulent, more likely ground-up ivory or perhaps even the tusk of a narwhal passed off as the magical cure-all. But the blood, that was a far more sinister element. Under the crude lens of her microscope, the red liquid revealed nothing conclusive. A few blood cells, certainly, but also a cocktail of other substances she couldn't immediately identify. The mystery deepened. Alessandra knew she couldn't solve this alone. She needed someone with a deep knowledge of herbs and potions, someone who understood the dark underbelly of the apothecary trade. Her thoughts turned to Florence and to a master apothecary who was known for both his skill and his discreet inquiries: Lorenzo de' Medici. The next morning, Alessandra penned a letter, detailing her findings and requesting Lorenzo's assistance. The whispers of blood and unicorns had drawn her into a labyrinth of deception, and she knew, with a growing sense of urgency, that she had to expose the truth, no matter how unsettling it might be. Florence, the heart of the Renaissance, pulsed with artistry and ambition. Here, master apothecary Lorenzo de' Medici, a man straddling the line between respected healer and discreet purveyor of desires, held court in his shop. Lorenzo's apothecary was a labyrinth of scents and secrets. Rare spices mingled with more mundane remedies, all under the watchful eyes of ceramic jars bearing cryptic labels. But it was the whispers of love potions that truly fueled his trade. Discreetly, desperate souls sought his aid, whispering their desires for a potion that could mend broken hearts or ignite passion. Lorenzo listened, his expression unreadable, gauging the depth of their desperation and the thickness of their purses. He understood the power of suggestion, the subtle art of crafting a remedy that played upon both the body and the mind. Saffron for warmth, rosemary for memory, and a touch of carefully chosen spices to tantalize the senses. Alessandra, driven by her quest for scientific truth, arrived in Florence seeking Lorenzo's expertise. The rumors surrounding his love potions had reached even the hallowed halls of the University of Bologna. "Master Medici," Alessandra began, her voice clear and direct, "I seek information regarding the so-called love potions circulating in this city. I have heard they contain unconventional ingredients." Lorenzo's eyes glinted with amusement. "Unconventional, you say? Indeed, the human heart is a peculiar organ, demanding equally peculiar remedies. I am referring to rumors of powdered unicorn horn and other less savory components. Human blood, perhaps." Lorenzo's smile faded. "Such things are whispered, yes, and there are those who prey on the desperate, offering false hope and dangerous concoctions. The unicorn horn is more likely the tusk of a narwhal or even ivory ground to a fine powder. As for blood, that is a darker path, fraught with peril." "Peril for whom, Master Medici? The one who consumes such a potion, or the one who creates it?" Lorenzo paused, his gaze fixed on Alessandra. "Both, I suspect, for such potions are built on lies and fueled by desperation, and lies, as we know, have a way of consuming those who tell them." And so began an unlikely alliance, a scientist and an apothecary, united by a common goal, to unravel the secrets of these dangerous potions and expose the truth behind the illusions of love. Alessandra began her grim task. The anatomical theater at the University of Bologna, usually a place of methodical learning, now held a more desperate urgency. She sought not simply to understand the body's structure, but to find evidence of the potion's effects, to trace the path of love through veins and organs. Today, she sought traces of mandrake or saffron. The heart symbol of love was her first focus. Could these potions, rumored to inflame passion, leave a physical mark? Enlargement? Discoloration? She knew the limitations of her knowledge, the rudimentary understanding of the heart's function at the time. Still, she searched, driven by the hope of finding something concrete. A vial of supposed love potion lay nearby, a sample acquired by Lorenzo. The rumors claimed it contained powdered unicorn horn and, more disturbingly, human blood. Alessandra shuddered at the thought, but her scientific curiosity compelled her onward. Professor Vesalius arrived, his presence adding a layer of scholarly scrutiny. He observed Alessandra's meticulous dissection, his expression unreadable. "Have you found anything of note, Dr. Giuliani?" he inquired, his voice precise and measured. Alessandra detailed her findings, or rather, the lack thereof. "There are no visible signs of poisoning, no inflammation consistent with known aphrodisiacs, but," she conceded, "our understanding of such things is limited. We are but scratching the surface of the body's mysteries." Vesalius turned his attention to the brain. "The seat of reason and perhaps of passion," he mused. He probed the organ with a delicate instrument, searching for any anomaly. "We know so little of its workings. Galen's theories still hold sway, though I suspect they are far from complete." Alessandra knew Vesalius was right. Their knowledge was a fragile thing, built on imperfect observations and ancient texts. They were pioneers, venturing into the unknown with inadequate maps. The idea of finding definitive proof of a potion's efficacy seemed increasingly unlikely. Meanwhile, in Florence, Lorenzo continued his own investigations, focusing on the ingredients themselves. He meticulously catalogued and examined each component of the supposed love potions, comparing them to known remedies and poisons. The unicorn horn was, as he suspected, a fraud. Microscopic examination revealed it to be nothing more than the tusk of a narwhal, or perhaps even the horn of an ox, expertly carved and polished. The trade in these false relics was rampant, preying on the desperation and ignorance of the populace. He carefully documented his findings, adding to his growing compendium of fraudulent practices and deceptive remedies. He knew the danger of these concoctions extended beyond mere deception. Some contained ingredients that could cause real harm. Back in Bologna, Alessandra and Vesalius reviewed the anatomical drawings, comparing them to their own observations. The limitations of their understanding were starkly apparent. They needed more data, more bodies, more precise instruments, but time was running out. Alessandra continued her grim work, driven by a growing sense of frustration and a determination to uncover the truth, no matter how elusive. She knew that the answers she sought lay hidden within the body, waiting to be revealed by careful observation and unwavering dedication. Lorenzo suspected the truth, but confirming it required tracing the unicorn horn back to its source. The supposed magical cure-all was traded at prices that rivaled gold, a dangerous incentive for deception. Lorenzo began his investigation, sifting through maritime trade routes and merchant ledgers. He knew the real source, if not unicorn, would be linked to the sea. He frequented the docks, seeking information from sailors and merchants, the whispers of trade winds carrying tales of far-off lands. He finally found one who knew of the northern trade. The merchant spoke of the northern seas, of daring voyages to lands where the unicorn horn originated, not from mythical beasts, but from creatures of the sea. Narwhals, the unicorn of the sea. Lorenzo studied the etchings, the spiraled tusk an undeniable match for the prized horn sold at exorbitant prices. Back in Bologna, Alessandra examined the narwhal tusk with a practiced eye. The trade in these tusks flourished because few had seen them firsthand. The mystique allowed for the deception. Vesalius joined her, detailing what was known about the narwhal, its habitat, its anatomy. The scientific understanding was limited but growing. Vesalius elaborated on the economic incentives, painting a picture of a complex network spanning continents. The markups were astronomical, fueled by ignorance and desperation. Armed with this knowledge, Lorenzo confronted one of the primary merchants in Florence, a man known for his unscrupulous dealings. The air crackled with tension. The merchant predictably denied everything, but Lorenzo had evidence. He had the truth and he would expose it. Lorenzo prepared a public display, juxtaposing real narwhal tusks with the unicorn horn sold at exorbitant prices. He would unveil the deception for all to see. Alessandra arrived from Bologna to stand by Lorenzo's side, ready to present the scientific evidence. Together, they would fight the forces of ignorance and greed, armed with the power of truth. Alessandra meticulously researched the more common ingredients found in love potions. Human blood and unicorn horn were abhorrent, but the other substances also demanded scrutiny. Tonight, she focused on mandrake, its reputation steeped in folklore and fear. In Florence, Lorenzo prepared a small sample of mandrake root. The air in his shop filled with its heavy scent. He knew its properties well, a powerful narcotic, capable of inducing sleep, visions, and even madness. Alessandra shared her research with Vesalius. "Mandrake's effects are unpredictable, Professor," she said, "depending on the dose and the individual. It's reckless to use in a love potion where precise control is impossible." Lorenzo recalled stories of mandrake overdoses, of people driven to delirium, their minds irrevocably broken. He understood its allure, a potent substance that could alter perception, but he also recognized its danger. Alessandra turned her attention to another ingredient, cantharides or Spanish fly. The small, iridescent beetles were rumored to be powerful aphrodisiacs, but their reality was far more sinister. Lorenzo instructed his assistant to secure the cantharides sample. He cautioned him about its handling. Even a small amount can cause severe burning and inflammation, he warned, and in larger doses, death. Vesalius showed Alessandra detailed anatomical drawings. Cantharides does not arouse desire, he explained. It irritates the urinary tract, causing inflammation and priapism. It's a dangerous poison masquerading as a love potion. Alessandra shuddered. The thought of someone unknowingly ingesting cantharides, hoping for love, only to suffer agonizing pain and potentially death, was appalling. Lorenzo reviewed his records, searching for any indication that his shop had ever sold cantharides for use in love potions. He prided himself on his ethical standards and the safety of his remedies. Alessandra diligently documented her findings, detailing the true dangers of mandrake and cantharides. She aimed to expose the truth behind these so-called love potions and to protect the vulnerable from their harmful effects. Lorenzo drafted a warning to the Florentine authorities, outlining the dangers of these ingredients and urging them to crack down on the fraudulent potion peddlers who exploited ignorance and desperation. As Alessandra and Vesalius finalized their report, they knew their work was far from over, but they were united in their commitment to truth and their determination to expose the dangerous lies at the heart of these potions of passion. The vial sat heavy in Alessandra's hand. Human blood. She knew its composition, its vital function, yet now it represented something far more sinister: exploitation, desperation, and the corruption of medical understanding. Lorenzo ran a hand through his thinning hair. The unicorn horn trade was proving even more repugnant than he initially feared. It wasn't just deception. It was profiting from the suffering of others, preying on their vulnerabilities. "We are not simply debunking myths, Lorenzo," Alessandra said, her voice low. "We are dismantling a system built on lies and human misery. The ethical implications are staggering. The potions themselves, even if they contained harmless ingredients, they offer false hope. They rob people of their agency, their ability to find genuine connection. Is that not a harm in itself?" Lorenzo questioned, swirling the vial gently. Alessandra thought of the bodies that passed through the anatomical theater. They were meant to be studied, to unlock the mysteries of the human form, to alleviate suffering. To desecrate them for a love potion was an abomination. Vesalius joined Alessandra, his voice a low murmur. The use of human remains in these potions, even if of dubious efficacy, undermines the very principles of medical science. It fosters superstition where reason should prevail. Lorenzo scrutinized the document. The promises were extravagant, absurd even. Yet people believed. He had to wonder how much of the potion's power was in the ingredients and how much was in the mind of the believer. Alessandra addressed her students. "We must approach medicine with skepticism and reason. Belief is powerful, but it should not supersede empirical evidence. We must discern truth from falsehood, fact from fancy." Vesalius met Lorenzo. The ethical implications extend beyond the potions themselves. The demand fuels a black market, exploiting the vulnerable and undermining legitimate medical practices. Alessandra began to document their findings, carefully outlining the ethical breaches, the fraudulent claims, and the potential harm. She hoped their work would serve as a cautionary tale, a testament to the importance of critical thinking. Lorenzo, despite his growing disgust with the love potion trade, continued to serve his community with legitimate remedies. He believed in the power of plants, in the body's ability to heal itself, but he drew a firm line between true medicine and deceptive practices. The weight of their task was heavy, but Alessandra and Lorenzo were resolute. They would expose the truth, not just for the sake of science, but for the sake of those who were being deceived and exploited. The pursuit of truth, they knew, was an ethical imperative. Alessandra spent the early hours compiling evidence, separating fact from the fantastical claims surrounding the love potions. The network peddling these concoctions needed to be exposed, and she would be the one to dismantle their deceit. Meanwhile, in Florence, Lorenzo was tracing the supply routes of the fraudulent ingredients. He interrogated his contacts, fellow apothecaries and traders, seeking any information about the charlatans and their methods. Back in Bologna, Alessandra discovered a common thread in several potions she had analyzed. A cheap, ineffective substitute for saffron, dyed to mimic the real spice's vibrant color. Lorenzo, through careful questioning and subtle threats, extracted information from a merchant who reluctantly admitted to sourcing unicorn horn from dubious origins, likely narwhal tusks, or even walrus ivory sold at exorbitant prices. Alessandra penned a letter to Lorenzo, detailing her findings, including the chemical analysis of the counterfeit saffron. Communication was slow, but their shared commitment drove them forward. Lorenzo received Alessandra's letter and carefully cross-referenced her findings with his own. The pieces were starting to fit together, revealing a network that stretched across several cities. Vesalius, ever the meticulous observer, confirmed that the unicorn horn was indeed a crude imitation, likely made from common animal bone and ivory scraps. His reputation for accuracy was invaluable. Alessandra and Vesalius worked together, meticulously mapping out the known vendors of these fraudulent potions and tracing their supply lines. They began to see the scope of the deception. Lorenzo, using his network of informants, discovered the location of a clandestine workshop where the fake potions were being manufactured on a large scale. Alessandra carefully prepared samples of the adulterated ingredients to send to Lorenzo, crucial evidence for exposing the fraudulent potion makers. Lorenzo, armed with Alessandra's evidence and the location of the workshop, coordinated with city guards and trusted allies to plan a raid, determined to bring the charlatans to justice. News reached Alessandra that the raid had been successful. The clandestine workshop was shut down and the key players arrested. The task of unmasking the charlatans had begun, but the fight against superstition was far from over. The piazza in Florence buzzed with anticipation. Alessandra and Lorenzo had orchestrated this demonstration to expose the truth behind the deceitful love potions. The morning air crackled with a mixture of skepticism and morbid curiosity. Lorenzo began, his voice echoing across the square. For too long you have been deceived, sold false hope in vials filled with nothing but lies. Today, we reveal the truth behind these so-called love potions. Alessandra took over, presenting her findings with the precision of a scholar. We have analyzed these potions, she stated, and found no magical properties, no power to force affection. Instead, we discovered deception. Professor Vesalius, invited to lend his expertise, presented the ingredients discovered in the potions. This unicorn horn is nothing more than ground bone, likely from a common animal, he declared, holding up the suspect powder. And the promises it makes are as hollow as the bone itself. Alessandra demonstrated the placebo effect. She presented 2 vials, one a simple mixture of water and herbs, the other the expensive love potion. The power lies not in the ingredients, she explained, but in the belief, the hope you invest in them. Lorenzo then exposed the charlatans themselves, the individuals profiting from the people's desperation. He named names, detailing their deceptive practices. The crowd stirred. Some were outraged, realizing they had been victims of fraud. Others remained skeptical, clinging to the hope of a quick fix for their romantic woes. A heated debate erupted. A nobleman, a known patron of the potion sellers, challenged Vesalius's claims, defending the ancient wisdom behind the potions. Lorenzo intervened, reminding everyone of the importance of reason and evidence. True love, he proclaimed, cannot be bought or forced. It must be nurtured with honesty, respect, and understanding. Slowly, the tide began to turn. People started to question their beliefs, to recognize the manipulation they had endured. Alessandra saw a glimmer of hope in their eyes. The demonstration concluded with a sense of resolution. Many thanked Alessandra and Lorenzo for opening their eyes to the truth. The potion sellers, their reputation ruined, quietly slipped away. As the sun set, Alessandra and Lorenzo walked away, their mission accomplished. They had struck a blow against superstition and deceit, reminding the people of Florence that true love could not be manufactured, but only discovered through genuine connection and honest hearts. The dust settled on the Florentine piazza. The crowd had dispersed, their initial fervor replaced with a quiet contemplation. The spectacle of the demonstration was over, but its message lingered in the air, a challenge to long-held beliefs. Lorenzo walked beside Alessandra, the silence between them heavy with the weight of what they had revealed. The charlatans they had exposed were a symptom of a deeper malady, a society yearning for control in a world riddled with uncertainty. Vesalius, ever the pragmatist, joined them. "We've struck a blow against ignorance," he stated, his voice carrying a hint of caution. "But superstition is a deeply rooted weed. It will take more than one demonstration to eradicate it completely." Back in Lorenzo's apothecary, Alessandra meticulously documented their findings. Each ingredient, each supposed effect, carefully analyzed and debunked. It was a slow, painstaking process, but essential to building a foundation of evidence against the peddlers of false hope. Lorenzo, meanwhile, returned to his craft, carefully measuring and grinding genuine remedies. He saw the apothecary's duty as more than just dispensing cures. It was about offering solace, understanding, and a bit of reasoned hope in a world often devoid of both. Vesalius studied the composition of the revealed love potion. "The placebo effect cannot be ignored," he admitted, "but knowledge is the only true antidote to deception. We must continue to unveil the mysteries of the human body and mind through rigorous observation and experimentation." Alessandra returned to Bologna, her commitment to teaching renewed. In the anatomical theater, surrounded by eager students, she emphasized the importance of critical thinking and empirical evidence. "Question everything," she urged them, "and trust only what you can prove through diligent study." Lorenzo, back in Florence, made a conscious effort to speak honestly with his customers. He explained the limitations of his remedies, the power of the mind, and the importance of genuine connection. He refused to prey on their vulnerabilities, choosing instead to offer them informed choices and realistic expectations. Vesalius continued his anatomical work, pushing the boundaries of medical knowledge. His lectures became renowned for their clarity and precision, attracting students from across Europe. He championed the importance of anatomical study, advocating for the use of dissection to understand the human body's true structure and function. Months later, Alessandra visited Florence. She saw Lorenzo across the bustling marketplace, their eyes meeting in a shared understanding. They had not eradicated superstition, but they had planted a seed of doubt, a spark of reason in the hearts of those seeking love and connection. The Renaissance, a period of unprecedented intellectual ferment, was far from a complete triumph of reason. The allure of magic, the desperation for love, and the fear of the unknown continued to fuel the demand for potions and remedies promising miraculous results. The line between science and superstition remained blurred, a testament to the enduring power of belief. Yet amidst the lingering shadows of superstition, a new dawn was breaking. The pursuit of knowledge, the embrace of reason, and the unwavering commitment to truth offered a beacon of hope, illuminating a path towards a more enlightened understanding of the world and the enduring mysteries of the human heart. True love, they had shown, could not be manufactured in a vial. It was found within.